Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to Tiger Talk Thursday. We've got a very special guest in the house, someone that I have been waiting to film with for, I'd say, a couple months now.
Well,
Larissa Mills. I don't know how long has it taken us to get together
I don't know. Between everything, I'm going to say about a year.
here.
About a year.
Well, it'll be well worth the wait.
Yes.
This episode, for all you listening, is a game changer. We talk a lot about life after sports, but what I was really excited to bring Larissa on is if your athletes are underperforming, struggling to focus, or constantly glued to their phones, you're really not alone. And today's guest is flipping the script on athlete development. Meet Larissa Mills. She's a cognitive behavioral sports specialist, educational disruptor, and founder of the Mental Game Academy, one of the first and only cognitive behavioral sports companies teaching elite mental skills, emotional intelligence, and healthy phone habits to today's athletes. With 29,000 hours spent on screens by the age of 16, that number is scary.
Doesn't it make you sick?
Yeah.
Oh,
Many athletes are emotionally under-equipped, socially delayed, and psychologically distracted. We can all attest to this. We've seen it in
yeah.
our own homes. We've seen it amongst friends, family. Larissa's programs are helping athletes close that gap one growth session at a time. From Olympic hopefuls to NCAA, NHL legends to grassroots programs, she's equipping athletes, parents, and coaches with powerful tools for resilience, leadership, and next level performance. So if you're ready to sharpen your team's mental edge, I think you're going to be really excited about this chat. So let's dive in. Welcome, Larissa.
Hello, I'm so ready. I'm
I know,
so ready.
finally.
I'm like just high on adrenaline right now. I'm so ready. Let's go.
All right, let's do this. So let's just go back to your younger years. You were a multi-sport athlete.
Yeah.
What was your journey in athletics, and what are the biggest lessons that you've pulled away from that journey?
Oh, okay. That's kind of
A fully
long
loaded
story short.
question.
I was raised with boys.
Okay.
There you go. And we were I was encouraged to be in not only school sports, but I was encouraged to be in any sport I thought I wanted to try.
Okay.
And my dad's philosophy was you can try something, but you can't quit it.
Ooh, good one, Dad.
So, I mean, I tried everything. I tried dancing. Not my thing. I was a great runner, went to track, went to basketball. And so I picked up all these sports and then he's like, whoa, 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 hold the phone. Like, you got to choose, man. You're 16. I can't have you at rowing at 5 a.m. and then go to volleyball and then competitive volleyball and keep a horse. Like, I also rode equestrian. So,
I
and
mean, why not? No.
when we golf, like I shared a horse with a girl, so we shared the time, but he's like, that's it. So we
Yeah.
had to kind of decide what was going on. And in order for me to make the higher level volleyball teams, I had to fight harder because I wasn't as tall. So I had to control my emotions
Hmm.
and switch the mindset of which position I wanted, which I had the best bet of making. And I worked with a coach who taught me how to use my mental skills, but we didn't have words like definitions or terms for it. He taught me how to visualize myself, how to move at the net, how to shake things off, but he didn't have terminology,
Hmm.
right? So, but he started it. That's what he started. Von Peckham, he just passed away now. He was my dad's best friend, best volleyball coach ever. Started Forest City Volleyball Club. I was one of the first volleyball players. That's how old I and they all
That's
know
all right.
everyone listening. I'll give a shout out to all the amazing coaches at Forest City Volleyball Club. But there wasn't any defining moment. But where I decided to make a stand was when I was coaching.
Hmm.
I was coaching teams who were exceeding my expectations before phones. When phones were introduced in 2003, 2002, like those Nokias and the little ones, like I don't even know, they're like flip phones that'll like kill somebody, right? The ones, the big ones, the big chunkers. So I noticed the kids changing. I noticed their behavior changing. I noticed they were not as focused. They were hanging out separately. They weren't talking. When I collected them to come in and start my practices, it took a little bit longer. I'm like, what's going
Yeah.
on? And my dad would walk in, or some of the other coaches, like kiss of death, those things. So
Yeah.
I got, and this is going to age me a bit, but I got one of those, those old Adidas bags, with like the ribbon. So I'm like, put the phones in the bag. I don't want them in my gym. I don't want you looking at them. I want
Exactly.
your undivided attention. You're paying me a lot of money to coach you, so let me coach you.
Mm.
And it started from there. And then as a teacher, it changed the kids in the classroom and the evolution of behavior change in education. And I said, if you put phones in that classroom, teachers cannot compete with dopamine.
Yeah.
There is no way to compete with this. None. It is an addiction. It is to an undeveloped brain, which what they are. We can't give them social media because that tanks their self-confidence. But the short video watching that accumulated after 2010, 2013 with Instagram, TikTok, and everything else, I saw completely different children.
Mm.
Children
Yeah.
that didn't want to move. So there's where I took my stand. I left education and said, I've got to do something. And I started to try and ban phones in schools. I started to ban phones in different sports ecosystems and arena because kids just weren't talking. And humans' brains are designed to talk, walk, and move, right?
Hmm.
And guess what phones do? They make us quiet. And that's dangerous to the brain medically for dementia, neurological disorders that many of the physicians in American, Canadian, British, and Australian pediatric societies are putting out there, all these studies. It's all there. It's slowing us down and it's slowing our speech. It's slowing the kids' mental skills. I mean, everyone can go onto our website or onto our socials and see a lot of the stats and the facts. They're scary. And Dr. Twenge is probably the leading on this, I want to say, and Dr. Cheever and Dr. John Hutton. We're a very medically based company. I don't like
Mm.
veering outside of anyone's. I like the science and the pediatric association science that we work with, and then we have our own research.
Yeah.
So every time we have a new athlete or a new team come in, we give them a mental skills assessment. Okay, well, how do they feel about their confidence? Okay, how do they feel about the way they talk to themselves? Can they bounce back from making mistakes? Do they have leadership skills? We can now link 4+ hours of phone use to directly to lack of confidence, anxiety, depression, and the kids are not. And let's put this out there, everyone who's in performance and all the psychotherapists and psychiatrists and psychologists, we know that kids need cognitive skills first in order to even have performance. Like we're demanding performance out of these kids, yet they don't have the skills to do it. And then as parents, I saw several parents chewing their kids out last night at soccer. Why didn't you kick that? Why weren't you faster? I'm like, because they don't have the confidence to do this because they're on phones. They simply don't have the skills. And so there's where I kind of made that stand and I started the Mental Game Academy, started writing the programs. All of a sudden, more athletes were picking it up, then higher athletes were picking it up. And now we're working within different NHL, OHL, NCAA. Now we're starting, I want to say, I have to say NBA, but I can't say who.
Woo.
So I
That's
know, right?
exciting.
They're going to be so tall. It's going to be so nice. Like, but our goal is to keep more kids in sports because more
Yeah.
kids are quitting than are staying.
Yeah, that's scary.
It is. It's terrifying.
And sorry, my mic is messing up a bit. Can you hear me? Can you
Yeah,
hear me
yeah,
okay? Okay.
yeah.
Um, I love everything you just said. I mean,
Mm.
super, super, super important work. What was the inciting? I mean, you've seen a lot through your experiences, but is there like a moment that you saw in an arena or I mean, you see it happening all the time. I mean, people can't help themselves. We all do it, giving feedback where we probably should be giving praise. But what was there like a moment where you could think back in your life and you're like, it was the moment that you're like, I got to do something about this?
When I was at a rink and I was with my daughter for like the way the rink and the pool were joined, I went over to the hockey rink to see what was going on because my little boys were too like really small. So my daughter was in the pool and I had these two boys and I went and watched this U16 AAA team. Now I'm not going to say which team it is. It's beyond the years right now, but I have to say they were looking at all nude photos of girls just standing there
Hmm,
in the arena.
lovely.
And I went, "Oh." okay, so we're here. We're here after what I'm doing, and this kids can do whatever they want on a phone, and no one's watching them. And this is where they believe they can do this in person. So we have a problem with virtual reality instantaneous itis, is what I call it. And you can't get what you want instantly in life. It doesn't work that way. You've got to work for everything. I have to work for my playing time, just like everyone else. Right? And we have to help our athletes to understand that because work ethic has changed as well and accountability. So we actually help our athletes with accountability and work ethic, which is a huge driving force within our confidence makeup.
Absolutely.
But there was that moment there where I'm like, what, where are the coaches? Like even and why are there phones at the rink? This is 2007 or 2000, right? And then I'm like, I wonder if their parents know what they're looking at home. And then I started to see, as a high school teacher, I started to see all sorts of inappropriate things happening online.
Yeah.
The kids don't care what's happening in the real world anymore. It's all online.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the wrong way to raise kids. I mean, if we're looking at ethics and morals and values, we're not even, then we should be looking at medical, right?
Well, you also hear, hey, I saw this. And I remember when I would catch, and I don't want to out anyone, but I would catch some younger people telling me this stuff. And I'd be like, where did you see that? I saw it online.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a story that you've seen in actuality? Because everything you're sharing with me is something you've seen online. It actually did not happen at school or in an
Nope.
environment in person. It's all online. And I think it was one of your videos
Oh yeah.
that I saw, like the most dangerous place for kids is in their bedroom
Yeah.
because of the access to the
Alone.
internet.
That
And
was from an RCMP officer here in Ontario.
that is
Like
wild.
they can go out and walk downtown now, no problem, because no one's out.
Yeah.
And in their room on Roblox or whatever, software they're using or app, parents are not checking their phones.
Mm-hmm.
I can go on and find almost something inappropriate on every kid's phone that's one of our athletes.
Wow.
On my children's phones as well. And we had major rules in our household of phones. Because I've never had phones before raising kids. I was raised without tech.
Yeah.
And I have to say the life was really a lot easier.
Oh, for sure. You're not
Well, we
battling about the devices. One thing I try to do now
Mhm.
is the 2 hour rule before any athletic event. Like there's no screen time. I think
Right.
again, I saw that on something on your
Yeah,
page and I
yeah, that's a good rule.
I instilled it right away because I was like, brilliant. Otherwise, plus I was on ice help this year. So it was like, woohoo, come on back.
There
Let's
you go.
go.
And you
Right.
need it to do stop the bees from buzzing and focus.
Yes.
Right? Because if you've been on a phone, which our higher level athletes will deal with gambling and other high risk apps, which means adrenaline reward risk in the brain for addiction is greater,
Mm-hmm.
they will take 22 minutes to just focus again. So their whole first period of a game is shot.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you're getting paid this
So
much
let's
money.
let's reiterate that comment because I kind of threw it in
Okay.
there. You knew exactly what I was talking about,
Uh,
but just for our listeners,
yeah, go ahead. Fire.
explain this point again because I think this will help a lot of people, a lot of parents, a lot of athletes
Okay. So
about the 2 hour rule.
the reason why we instill or enforce, if we can, the 2 hour rule before practices and games is practices are where you earn your playing time, right?
Absolutely.
I'm not going to put anybody on my court. I'm not going to put anybody on the ice that's not earning it. So I want to see you focused. I want to see you on high alert. I want to see you making fast decisions. I want to see your effort, your intensity, your accountability, all in practice. Well, if you've just been on a phone, and let's say you were even on Instagram or TikTok, which are actually fairly addictive, TikTok being on the higher scale towards addiction of gambling and pornography, right? Like if we're looking at all the different forms, right?
Yeah.
If we are looking at something on our phones and then we have to go do hockey, let's say hockey, our brain is like, oh, no, wait, I have to go back and look at this. I have to
Mm.
go back and see this. And so our ability to focus and make decisions in our cognitive processing and our hippocampus, which shrinks, by the way, with short video watching, which is dangerous. We need a big hippocampus as athletes. So the only way we can help or regrow or that's not the word at all I want. Yeah, no, regrow, expand the hippocampus is by talking, walking, or dancing, right?
Movement.
Movement and
Engaging in your
talking.
life.
Talking actually wards off a lot of neurological diseases in our brain.
Amazing.
So we need it to talk more, and that's you should look up Dr. John Huttonsworth at Cleveland's Hospital in Cincinnati. Remarkable work and scary as well. Now leading into early dementia in young adults, just because our brain matter shuts off. So going back to that, to our rule, we like to instill it because then you're fresh, you're on fire, your cognitive processing is faster, you're going to hit the ice with fire. If you've been on a device, you're going to be slower. You're going to take 5 to 10 seconds longer to make a decision. That's not good.
No.
All the other kids are going to be faster than you. I'm going to go pick up the puck from you. I'm going to strip you of the puck, right? You're going to be dopey.
Mm-hmm.
Dopamine makes us dopey.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so true. And we did it with my daughter in tryouts. Actually, we just went through tryouts and my phone was
Oh,
blowing
Lord.
up going, I've never seen Sally play so well. And I was like, what are
There
we
you
doing?
go.
I was laughing. I was like, what are we doing differently? And I had totally instilled. She was dirt biking actually outside in dirt biking on her little bike around her yard before every skating session.
Good, good. That's what
Yeah.
kids should be doing is
Yeah.
learning how to play and play.
Hmm.
Because what is it the Canadian Physiotherapy Association put out a study saying that kids today have the least amount of muscle they've ever seen.
Oh, yes.
That's awful.
Yeah,
I mean, I've never seen so many obese children in my life.
correct.
And that's definitely impacting sports and the sport ecosystem. And overall, it's going to impact the healthcare system, right?
Yeah.
So our educational system and sports system impact our health system. But that 2 hour rule,
Hmm.
especially before practice, is very, very important. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It could be any practice, any sport, doesn't matter if you want to focus, learn, and master,
Keyword
right?
master, right? Focus,
Master.
learn, master, which is where all
Focus,
the
learn,
kids,
master.
everyone thinks they're going to the show, but it's like you can't even focus in a practice.
And
And
then the parents are like, why is my kid not getting playing time? Well, if their screen time is more than their practice time, they don't complain about their playing time.
yes,
It's
yeah,
very, very clear.
it's very
The,
clear.
right? It's
I,
very clear.
and I can sense your passion and I love it. And
Oh,
I
thank you.
can also sense the fear of where we're going if this continues and your message does not hit the masses. So let's like educate us. Where are we going as society without where we think we're going and what we've seen? But like, it's pretty scary to think if we don't reel this in every individual home, where are we going as a culture, as a society, as a
Well, let's
community?
look at it as in terms of sport and a sport ecosystem
Perfect.
concept, okay, pathway. So let's look at soccer development in Canada or hockey development. Well, let's look at our numbers at the bottom, okay? So our numbers now, 33% more of kids are not signing up for sports.
Crazy.
So if 70% of athletes at 13 are quitting sports, where does that leave us with numbers? So instead of the pyramid, okay, we're now down to like an isosceles triangle kind of, right? But we're not quite in the silo yet. But then this is leaving only wealthy kids to go up
Mm,
because of the economy. So there's where I envision we're going to have less sports. Kids are going to be signing up for less. We're going to have a real obesity issue. We're going to have slower, and I want to say delayed dysfunctional kids. But soon as I equip them in 8 weeks, they're on fire. I don't want to play my athletes. They're on fire. Like they're unstoppable.
yeah.
Try and take the puck from one of them. Try and stop a goal from one of them. And kids, soon as they feel they have these tools, they're gone. They're okay. They're fine. They will tell me, Larissa, I feel faster. Then I know the dopamine's down. I feel stronger. Oh, well, then we know it's really down and you're keeping your habits of 2 hours of phone use a day. We know there's a magical number with our research of the 2,000 plus athletes that have gone through here. And we know that the less social media, the better for confidence, but the less short video watching, the better for brain chemistry. And right, we fight that addiction. It's
Amazing.
two things happening with phones. Where do I see society going? Completely dysfunctionality, violent behavior is increasing in girls online and
Mm,
in person. The amount of fighting now we see physically happening, and in boys are becoming more silent and violent and more misogynistic online, right? And that the
scary.
adolescence is just the pinnacle, okay, of what I have seen in the past 10 years with phones. That is just a little slice into what we're about to all experience.
Well, so how do we take away some skill sets? Like I think about families today.
Okay.
And most of us are working two
Yes.
full-time jobs. The
Yep.
kids are being raised by the internet because when they're hiding it, and yes, we can put restrictions on. I mean, everybody, you can find it. Sure, take them out of the house, do whatever you need to, but kids find a way. I remember like sneaking TV when my parents were coming home from school, but I was like, I had to watch my film Days of Our Lives before they got in the
Oh
door.
my God.
Yes, I'm dating myself too. I'm
Yep.
40, I'm 43.
There you go.
But it was like, what could the listeners, parents do specifically to help their athletes when they're working full-time jobs and they're not there to monitor?
Um,
It's kind of
then
a,
I would not let them have phones.
yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, it comes down to a very simple thing. Just because Steve Jobs created this phone doesn't mean we need to
Mm,
give them out to everybody.
exactly.
It became a luxury item that we thought was going to be really cool, and now we are all suffering.
Hmm.
It was made as a tool. It's designed as a tool. It is not made to raise our children. And this is where we have the dysfunctionality in terms of mental and physical capabilities now being 2 to 3 years behind their chronological age.
Hmm.
So what can we do? I would delay the heck out of tech. No iPads, nothing. I watched a dad in the store the other day with his little girl who was adorable in a cute little dress, and she was like looking up at him, and
And he
he's
was
on
on
his
the phone.
phone. He was on his phone and he put an iPad in front of her. So we're losing the connection with parents, which is a very dangerous thing to a child's undeveloped brain, undeveloped sense of identity, and
Mm,
their concrete and critical thinking, decision making come from parents. If
yeah.
we can't show them how to talk and how to problem solve and how to build their confidence, our kids are going to be ill-equipped to be adults.
Yeah. We need the adults to model the right behavior too.
And
Cause
they're not.
yeah,
And
exactly.
definitely, because 84% of my athletes coming here are addicted to their phone.
Correct. Correct.
So the other thing I would say, yes, take the phones away. Take the iP We don't need them.
No,
We
get
created
outside.
a society where we want them, but we don't need them. And we have to. I have kids now who are actually using Opal, who are completely deleting social media now and getting
What's,
flipped.
oh, I don't know what Opal is.
Opal is a software where I've encouraged a lot of our college level athletes, OHL sort of draft age, like 18 to kind of 20, to organize your social media so you only get certain minutes on certain apps and that's it. It locks out.
Cool.
Right? Because social media, folks, will always be there. It'll
Yeah.
be there whenever you check it. You don't have to check it 120 times a day, or a child under 18 checks it 176 times a day. So this is basically surging dopamine and cortisol in the brain and surging the heart rate, and then the nervous system sits here and shakes all day. It's like opening up a can of pop and in the morning and then asking at the end of the day to open it up on a white rug. I mean, you know what's going to happen. And that's the way our brain feels getting zapped by our nervous system at the back of our brainstem. It's like we're zapping our brain and the brain's like, can you just shut off? Just please close down. And that's where we get this irritability, the violence, the moods.
Yeah.
So where are
Yeah.
we going? It's not good. Healthcare, emerge docs, family physicians, scared. I wish medicine would enforce. Also, we need medicine, the UN, to also enforce this.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
sure. And educate and educate and educate.
Yeah.
And I know my daughter who's going into a new school, like middle school, they just told us when we went to orientation that they're banning school phones in the
Good.
school because my kids don't have one. My friends think I'm crazy. All their friends
No,
do. They're only
don't. Your
10 and
kids will be the
11.
smartest ones there.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
that's what I keep telling them, but it's amazing how they're like, well, can I just get on the iPad or do this? And, and you don't want them to feel left out, but they're not being left out. They're being moved forward, if anything.
They will.
Um,
They will be moved forward. And there is a surge to do this, though, Janine. Like I'm seeing more and more parents delaying phones than ever before because they're actually causing more and more behavioral issues that parents can't
Absolutely.
cope with.
No, and they don't and they don't listen. They're laser. It's like if the house would be on fire around them, they're looking at a device, the house will go up in flames with them in it on the iPad or something, right?
Oh,
And I'm not joking about that. I mean it
no,
seriously.
they'll burn.
Yeah.
The kids will burn. They don't have any self-awareness,
Crazy.
right? So yeah, I'm not encouraged right now, but here's what I'm encouraged about.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, let's flip the script on this. So we know
Yeah.
what's the problem.
So
Where are we
we're
going?
working in the schools. Schools are bringing in our curriculum. We are educating teams. We're
Love
now
that.
partnering with hockey associations, soccer associations, how and why, and educating from the aspect of the parent and why this doesn't help your child as an athlete. So
Yeah.
we have these sport ecosystem programs that actually raise behavioral standards but lower the phone.
Love it.
And so your athlete is running faster, longer, they're playing smarter, and they're just feeling stronger about themselves. I was with a bunch of girls with a program here in London with about cute little girls. Oh my goodness, older and younger, but all of them set a little vote, a quiet little vote for me, a silent vote that they didn't like themselves.
Hmm.
Okay, they ranged from 11 to 15. All right. By the end of this session in 1 hour, and I let parents come in, these girls were like, I am strong. I
Hmm.
am confident. I am fearless. And these little kids were like changed on the ice. The coach on the ice was a retired professional, well, a hockey coach. I forget her name now. I forget who it was, but she was like, "What'd you do to them?"
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, you just need to start wiring the effective part of their brain, which wires that polyvagal nerve down. They
Okay.
need to know how to control it. Because if they can't control the phone, they can't control their mental skills. It
Exactly.
doesn't work the same. It doesn't work that way in the brain. So within 1 hour, I had parents coming in and hugging me and saying, I'm going to teach this at home. So we do have methods, solutions, programs, and help. We have our podcast to help parents as well. But this is an educational thing.
Of
And it
course.
will only move forward with an educational force. That's why my team's so awesome. There's like 10 of us now and
Yeah.
growing.
Yeah. And it's not like you're not motivated for a minute. This has to be a daily habit and daily
It is.
skills that we're teaching along the way. So,
Right. Right.
um, I mean, I'm so impressed and fascinated with your work, hence why I wanted to bring you on here, knowing
Thanks.
we talk a lot about the life after sports transitions identity, but it all falls back on to the mindset piece while our athletes are in sport. And that's why I think your work is so important. I like it, screaming it from the rooftops. People need to know this. Um, I love listening to it and hearing what you have to say. If you had an athlete sitting in front of you who is really struggling,
Hmm.
what would you say to them? Again, I know they need to seek out professionals and this takes time, but is there a quick way that a
Yes.
parent can talk to their athlete that you
Yes.
could maybe give them an example to get them
Yeah,
back?
we're gonna do two things. First thing is take that phone out of their freaking room an
Mm,
hour before bed, or even don't even let them have their phones on the off the main floor.
I love that.
That is the biggest change in the brain. Not having a phone attached to them 24/7 in their bedroom. That's the biggest change in the brain and will lower dopamine right away. You'll actually see a little bit of a happier kid.
Awesome.
Okay. The second thing is I want you to talk to your athletes more. Talk to your kids and teach them three mantras to say to themselves before bed. I am strong. I am confident. I am faster. I am powerful, whatever it is. If we can get kids talking 40% more a day and off phones 40% more, that's all it's going to take.
Love it.
It's a simple thing. It's hard. It's a hard thing to do, but it's a simple thing, right? But it can be done because I'm seeing it now where we're going into different associations, schools we're being asked to speak in, corporations, because it can change, but it affects adults too. The
Of
more we
course.
talk to ourselves and put our phones down, the happier we're just going to be.
Yeah, I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. And anything for now, it's interesting that how you brought up even about with social media and the addiction side for
Yeah.
you
Oh,
talked
right.
about betting or
Gambling,
there was another, oh,
gambling.
pornography you were talking about.
Yep. Yep.
But I found it really interesting is within the life after sports series, when you have athletes that are leaving and they're transitioning, you're noticing the rise of these silent suffering. They're addicted to different things behind closed doors. And what would you say to an athlete in that situation? Like what type of program do you have for someone leaving sport, trying to transition to a new life when they're not an athlete?
Right. So that's actually really exciting that you asked me that question because we have a leadership course for athletes to take,
Okay.
right? It's reclaiming your mental self,
Hmm.
right? Reclaiming your identity, reclaiming that you are a person without hockey,
Yeah,
right? You wouldn't believe how many NHL players don't know how to identify as a person and they
hmm.
only identify as a hockey player. That
I
is
believe it.
detrimental to their performance. So that's important because learning our self-worth, we take them through self-worth, emotional intelligence, equip them with all these tools, and they're like, I'm good again.
Yep.
I'm good again. I can go, you can go do whatever you want now. Go do it. I'll help you. So we have a leadership course that's 8 weeks. It's our MGA Power Pack 2.0. It's to give athletes another initiative or an opportunity to come and work with MGA because now we're just expanding like crazy. So we need people everywhere.
I love
Um,
that.
but it's important to know who you are before you are an athlete because we believe at MGA to equip the human first, the athlete will just kill it after.
Uh, 1,000% agree.
Yeah, like we equip the human and we connect with the human, and then all of a sudden this it's like, who are you as an athlete? Like you're a rage monster out there on the football field. I'm like looking at him like, wow, you're such a nice boy when you're in session with me. And then it's like, wow, there's a switch that goes on. I'm like, I wouldn't like he crushes people. I'm like, oh my gosh. So that's what we want
I
is
love.
connect with the human,
Mhm.
let the athlete go. Right?
Yes. And I love that. And I've always loved the saying sports are what you do. They're not who you are. And we
Right.
we talk a lot about a lot of the athletes that I've interviewed, the professional athletes, I've heard them share that line with me because a parent told them or
Yep.
whatever. And it just is all
Yep.
encompassing into what you're saying. And that's why I was even saying, like with younger athletes, if we get them to focus on like what are your skill sets outside of hockey? What else are you
We
interested in? What
do.
are you
We
good
do.
at? Yeah, I
Yeah.
love
And
that.
we encourage actually picking up two hobbies in another sport.
I love it. On top of your
So
main sport.
I have a kid who plays baseball and he's learning crochet and he's 9.
Perfect.
And he's now playing other sports, get into track. He's running.
Love it.
We don't need to identify with one sport, and that's a dangerous thing to get into. A
Ooh, I
very
love
dangerous
that
mindset.
you just said that. So we just did, we're in the middle of tryouts
Oh, oh,
and
girl,
everybody's already,
your
well,
girl.
for my daughter,
Okay,
correct.
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And people are reaching out, kind of going like, hey, we've got ice time tonight. Sally just finished. She's made her team. And I was like, nope, we're transitioning to volleyball, running, and horseback riding because she's just so over hockey. But and
Mm.
I know parents have good intentions. I don't want to
Their
take
brains
anything away
need a
from that.
break. They need a different experience.
Yeah. So can you talk to that? Because I know what
Yep.
the athlete that trains all year long, how much time is enough time off, or is it too long, or whatnot? Because some people will race in to put their kids into programs right before tryouts, and I'm like, do they really need that? Or
That's athlete dependent. Okay.
mm,
So we'll take my kid as an example, my youngest kid. Not a very good experience this year in hockey.
okay.
Okay. Confidence down. All of his whole team confidence down. Sad. They all regressed. Was sad. So in before tryouts this time, he got asked to play on this I can't say it online, but at this school academy that's really good. I really love this coach. He's awesome. I'm going to say it. TPH with Wade, you're awesome. Um, um, he found his confidence right before tryouts, and it really helped him. Okay. Ex Confidence is a huge piece, but kids want to learn tools and techniques. And when they don't learn them, it gets frustrating. So there's that aspect. The other aspect is playing multiple sports, which he does all year round. Like I think he plays golf, he's a swimming, he's getting his lifeguarding, he plays with his like he goes out and hangs out with his friends. He plays flag football, beach volleyball, and competitive soccer. But he plays basketball too. So the more your athlete plays a sport, not necessarily competitive, the more their brain, if you think of neurons and pathways, starts to fire. And the main ones keep getting walked on like paths, like deer paths off a path. You want them worn in the
Mm,
brain. They want that path worn. And so your neurons will fire. So your cognitive processing when it comes back to hockey or back to your main sport, you're going to be like on fire. You're going to be the fastest. You're going to be the most confident because now all this cross play, socialization happening is what real socialization does for the brain. It's the
ooh,
real purpose, right? So, and plus singling out into one sport, 90% of those kids will quit by 13. Maybe some of them might be still at 16, but I've never seen such a high quitting rate. Also because they let's say there are not great coaches out there. There
mhm.
are awesome coaches out there that I work with every day who want to actually help, but I have had and I have seen some pretty horrible ones too. And I have no idea why associations hire them back.
So if you saw an association and you could label the ones one or two top skill sets of great coaches versus a not great coach. What do you see in a great coach, and what do you see in a not great coach? And then
Uh, a great coach focuses always on development and connection.
hmm,
The coach that I see where we run into problems with athletes coming to us is they play favorites. And I mean favorites as in, um, I have my reliable athletes. Yes, okay, we have our reliable athletes, but this is favorites, coach's kid syndrome, and they only care about winning. They don't care about development,
hmm,
and they don't have connection or communication.
love that.
That's it. It's very clear. So we have cognitive performance programs and behavioral strategies for coaches now to connect with this new athlete coming up that doesn't have any mental skills. How do you coach a kid that doesn't have mental skills? It's pretty freaking hard, right? How do you deal with this with a kid that wants to draft, but he doesn't know how to fold laundry or turn his phone off to study or do yoga or do his discipline, right? Or her discipline. We need to do better.
Yeah. I love it. Man, I feel like I could hear your content for forever. I love your passion. It's hilarious because before we even hit record, it was like you're more even keel. And then the minute you get on your topic,
Yeah,
man,
I
you are
know.
just firing all cylinders. No, I love it. And I'm so happy that you're out there doing this work, Larissa, because I think it's wildly important. And I mean,
Thank you.
I'm just thinking of people to connect you with as you're sharing this
Oh,
information.
all about collaboration. Collaborative leadership is the only way for us to fix this.
Yeah,
That's it.
absolutely. Well, I think your work is super important. And I know we
Thank
could
you.
probably record for like 2 hours long.
We can do part two later, the more pro athlete one, I'm sure.
Yes, no, I love that. But you know what? What I love about this is it's easily digestible for the parent, the coach, or the athlete who could be watching.
Mhm.
And if you're someone who is watching this now and you're thinking of a specific athlete, parent, or coach that this could help, please share because the more of us that are educated and understand the impact that this type of the importance on technology is having on our athletes, not only as an athlete, but like as a human.
It's a
And
human.
we're delaying their leadership skills in a community where we need more leaders. So, right?
Well said. Yeah,
Right. So, any
high five
last
for
final words? Yeah. Cheers.
that.
Any last final words before we
Mhm.
wrap it up on this chat? I definitely think we need a part two because you have so much
Oh yeah, I've
fascinating
got I've got
information.
like coaching ones and part one. We can do that. But the one thing I will say is that your kids need to hear your voice more than they need to hear some influencers on social media.
Mm,
Please connect with them
mhm.
and help them and spend a couple hours with them in an evening again. We've got to go back to the Walt Disney era where Mutual of Omaha was on and we were spending time with our kids because that matters in their brain.
Mm, I
It's
love that.
almost like when the more you spend with your child without a phone, the better the athlete, the better the human is going to be.
Yeah.
I can guarantee it.
And it's even that's for parents and athletes.
Yep.
Just because we're older and have it in our hand doesn't mean it's there, right? It's put it away. I love
Yep.
that. Such an
Yep.
important message. I'm so grateful that we've had you here as a guest, and I look forward to having you back. We definitely need you almost on like a monthly series.
There you
such
go. I got
such
a
great
million
information.
topics. Okay.
I know.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, it was a pleasure having you. And I can't believe this is already episode 74 of Tiger Talk Thursday, transitioning to life after sports. But tonight's episode, we're flipping the scripts on phone use, mental capacity, and growth in our athletes, and parents holding you accountable, not only as the athlete, but making sure that we're being the role models that these athletes need, and coaches, making sure that we're focusing on development and connection and communication, as Larissa stated, and not just about winning or favoritism. So I love all of that. So thank you so much.
Awesome. It's awesome. We'll see you again.
Yes.